Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm gonna show you how you can write the basic program in the C++ language, and after that we are going to divide our basic program into smaller chunks and we will try to understand the meaning of each word what we have write in the C++ language in our basic program. And after that we are going to download and install the compiler where we can write our C++ code, and we will also install some tools that are required to build our C++ program, and we will also install some useful extensions inside our compiler that will help us to write the C++ code and also help us to compile and run our C++ program in a simple way. And after writing our C++ program in the compiler, the next stage is the compilation of the code. As you know that the machine can only understand the machine language, which is a binary file which contains a sequence of 1 and 0. So next we will go through each step that the compiler takes in order to convert the C++ code into the machine code so that the machine can understand our instructions that we have write in the C++ language. So if you are new on my channel and if you want to join my series on the modern C++, you can subscribe my channel and also hit the bell icon to get the updates of the new uploads on this series. Now we will move towards my computer screen. Now in this lecture we are going to start with the chapter 2, which is the C++ programming basic. So first we are going to write the basic program in the C++, and this is our first basic program. Here we have write some instructions in the C++ language. Despite this program looks smaller in size, but this program contains a lot of information. So next we are going to break this program into smaller chunks and we will try to understand the meaning of each word what we have write here in this block. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the function. The thing you are looking here, int main round brackets and curly brackets, here it represents a function. It is the syntax that is used to describe the function. So the first thing, int here is the return type of the function. It means integer, and main is the name of the function, and the round brackets here is the syntax that is used to tell the compiler that it is a function. And the last thing is the scope of the function. It is used to tell the compiler that our function starts from this curly bracket and it ends here at this curly bracket. So first we are going to talk about the return type. The basic function can have any return data type, but the main function has always one return type, and that is the int means integer. And the next thing is the name of the function, and basic function can have any name. You can name it by your name, and every program must have a main function. And why we need a main function in our program? Because the compiler always look for the main function. So the compiler executes everything that is inside the curly braces of the main function, that is inside the scope of the main function, and everything that is outside from the scope of the main function, the compiler does not execute these commands. That's why every program must have a main function, because the compiler always starts from the main function. It is the entry point for the compiler, and then next it will go into the curly braces and it will try to execute everything that we have write inside the curly braces. And the next thing is the round bracket. So it is the distinguish feature that tells the compiler that it is a function. Otherwise maybe a compiler will confuse that it may be a variable or it is some other program element. And the last thing, as I told you, it is the scope, and every function must use their pair of braces around the function body to describe its scope. So as I have told you that the program may consist of many different type of function, classes and other program elements, but on startup control always goes to the main function. So it means that our compiler always look for the main function and it will execute everything that is inside the curly braces of the function. As you can see in the image here, this is our main function and it is the main function block. You can see it as the curly braces. The next thing, these are the other blocks. So the compiler always execute this block. So the compiler does not know about these blocks. If you want to run these blocks, then you have to call these blocks from your main function. In this way the compiler will also execute these blocks. Next we are going to see about the program statements. So what are program statements? Everything you have write inside the curly braces of our function are called program statements. And in our basic program in total we have two program statements. So first we are going to take our first statement and we will divide this statement into smaller blocks. First we are going to see what is the meaning of cout and what is this operator represent. First we will look what is cout. Cout is an object. As you are not familiar with classes at this stage, so maybe you don't get the clear idea about the object, but for now it is enough to know that it is an object and it is predefined in the C++, which is also known as the standard output stream. What is stream? Stream represents a flow of data. So what is the purpose of the cout here? The purpose of the cout here here is to display the content of the variable on the computer screen. So whatever is inside the cout, it will display it on the computer screen. And what is this operator? This operator represents the direction for the flow of the data. For example, this is our data and we have some content inside this block. So this content will flow in this direction and then it will go into the cout. And what will cout do? Cout will print this content on the computer screen. And this is also known as insertion operator. It directs the content of the variable on its right to the object on its left. This is it. And the next we are going to see what are these commas represents. These commas are also known as string constant. And what does it mean? It is unlike a variable and cannot given a new value as the program runs. Once its value is set, you cannot change its value. It will retain its value until the program exists. So it means that everything you write inside the commas, it will display as it is on the computer screen, and you cannot change its value throughout the program existence. So whatever you will write inside the commas, it will display as it is on the computer screen. And what does this slash and the n sign means? This represents the escape sequence, which causes the next to be displayed on the new line. And what does it mean? It tells the compiler to print the statement in the next line. It will move the console to the next line. So next we are going to look into the second statement, return 0. What is return 0? As our program has the return type of integer, so we have to return some integer number. Here we are returning 0. And what is return 0? We have to return the value 0 to whoever called it. In our case, our program is called by our operating system or our compiler. So this 0 will go into the operating system or the compiler. And what does this 0 represent? 0 means the successful compilation of the program, and any other number than 0, non-zero numbers, represents the unsuccessful compilation of the program. It means that your program has some error. So the 0 number represents the successful compilation and the non-zero number represents there is some error or glitch in your program. Next, I am going to talk about directives. So first we will see what are preprocessor directives. Preprocessor directives always starts with the sign of hash. In C++ we have a lot of preprocessor directives, but in our C++ program we have write hash include, which is also a one type of directive. And here inside this sign we have write our file name. This file also contains some C++ code. So why we need these directives? Because during the compilation, a part of the compiler called the preprocessor, which deals with these kind of directives before it begins the real compilation process. And what does the hash include means here? Hash include will tell the compiler to go into this file and copy everything whatever is inside this file and place it here. So what it will do, it will simply replace this line with the content of the file. And what is this file? The file we usually called by this hash include are known as header files. Next we are going to talk about the using directive. Here in our basic program we have write the statement using namespace std. So using here is another type of directive. Actually in our C++ program we may have different namespaces. What is namespace? A namespace is the part of the program in which certain names are recognized. For example, in our case, cout is recognized under the namespace of std. Cout is declared in the std namespace. If you completely remove this line, now your compiler will throw an error because it will not find the cout where it exists, because it exists under the namespace of the std. Another way to write the same statement is, if you don't want to use this directive using namespace, you can do what you need to do. You need to add the name behind the certain names that are recognized under specific namespace. For example, if you completely remove this line, so you have to put the namespace before the name of the cout. In this way the compiler recognizes that cout is declared in this namespace. So what is the purpose of the namespace in our C++ program? It is very important. For example, if you have create a variable with the name of the mart, and now you have create another variable with the same name, so if you run your program, your compiler will throw an error that you cannot create the variable with the same name. So what you can do, for example, marts exist in Australia, England, Germany. So now you will create the variable 3 times with the same names, mart, and now you will place these variables under the namespace of Australia, under the namespace of Germany, under the namespace of England. While writing the program behind the name of the mart, you can add this double dots and you can write Australia, Germany or England. Then the compiler will know that you are talking about the mart variable that is declared under the namespace of the Germany or England or Australia. Now we have completed all the elements that we have right here in our first program. So the next stage is the compilation. So what is the compiler? Why we need the compiler? Compiler actually turns the C++, which is a high level language, into a machine language, which is also known as a binary code, as the machine only understands the binary code. So this is an example. For example, here is our source file where we have write some C++ program. Then the compiler will process this file and it turns into a machine code. Now the machine will understand what we have write in the C++ program. Then in this way the machine will execute this command. Next I am going to show you how you can download and install the basic compiler where we can write our C++ program, and next we will also install some useful extensions inside our compiler with the name of C++, C++ compile and run. These extensions will help us to write our C++ code and to compile and run our code in a simple way. Next I'm going to show you what happens when you compile your C++ program. So the first thing is the basic.cpp. In this file you will write your C++ code or your C++ program. CPP means here C++, and .cpp is the extension that tells your operating system that it is a C++ file. So after writing your C++ program, you have to compile your program. So when you will send your C++ file to the compiler, so in the compiler we have two stages. One is the compilation and the other one is the linking. First we will look into the compilation. So the first stage in the compilation is the C++ preprocessor. So what it will do, it will take all the hash include statements and it will replace these statements with the actual content of the file. And the next stage is the compiler. What will compiler do? It will take the C++ file from this stage and it will convert this file into the assembly file, and in the assembly file we have our program in the assembly language. And the next stage in the compilation is the assembler. It will take this assembler file and it will convert this assembler file into the object file. Object file contains the machine readable code. It is a non-human readable code, and this is our compilation stage is done. So the next stage in the compiler is the linking. What is linking? What will linker do? It will actually link. The first function of the linking is to link your main function with the other functions that you have created in your C++ file. For example, in our program we have created this main function. For example, if we create some other function, so the linker will connect this other function with our main function, and the other function of the linking is to connect the different object file. For example, if you are creating some software, so you will break down your program into different CPP files. So when you process your each CPP file to the compilation stage, it will generate different object files for each of your CPP file. Then in the linker stage, it will link all your object files, and in the end it will generate the executable file. The executable file is the machine readable code. It is a binary code, and in this way you can convert your C++ program into an application. Now you have the idea of the linking. Linking is just to connect the different parts of the program. You can connect the different object files, you can connect your main function with the other functions in your program, and it's also used to link different kind of libraries that you are going to use in the C++ program in the later stages. In C++ there are also two kind of linking. One is static and dynamic linking. We will go through these kind of linkings later. So the next we are going to do, we will download and install our compiler, and we will install some of these extensions, and next I will prove all these theoretical concepts in a practical way in our compiler, and I will show you all these stages in the compiler. So we are going to install the compiler for our C++ program. Just go into the Chrome. I'm going to install the Visual Studio Code. Just type install and VS Code, just press enter. You have to go into this website, download Visual Studio Code, Mac, Linux, Windows. Just click on it and install it for Windows. Click on it, it will automatically start the installation. Now you have to wait here until the installation is complete. Once the installation is complete, you have to click on this file and you just have to select I accept the agreement and just click on next, 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 and install. Now it will take few seconds to install this program in your machine. So after the successful installation, you will see this kind of prompt, and here is saying launch VS Code. We are not going to launch now. So I am going to uncheck this. Just click on finish. Next we have to install some tools that are required to build our C++ program. I am going to use the G++ tools. Just click on the new tab and type here install G++ and click enter. Now as you have seen here, we have to open this site, get started with C++ and MingW W64. This is for 64-bit operating system, and we have to install it in Visual Studio Code. Just click on it, and there are some prerequisites. First we have to install this. We have already installed the VS Code, so the next thing we have to install this extension, this one, C++. So open your VS Code, just press the Windows key and type here Visual Studio Code and just open it. And next you have to go into the extensions. Just click here extensions, and you have to write here C and C++, and you have to install install this extension. As I have already installed this extension, and the next extension you have to install is C++ compile run. This extension is useful. With this extension you can compile your program with just one click on the button. Otherwise you have to write the commands in the CMD in order to build your program. So the next thing is we are going to install the MingW W64 toolchain, and for this we have to download the installer. Just click on it, it will automatically start the downloading. So once the download is complete, you have to open this file and just click on next, and we are going to install it in the C directory. Yes, next, and now it will take some minutes to install the MSYS, and after the successful installation we are going to run MSYS2. Just click on finish. So it will open a MSYS64 terminal for you. The next thing, you have to copy this command from here and just copy it and paste it in there in this terminal and just click on enter. So we are getting the error here, permission denied. If you get this error, you can close this and press the Windows key, and you have to type here MSYS, and you have to open the 64, this one, MingW64. The error we are getting is because we don't have the administrator permissions. So you can run it as an administrator and just click on yes, and just now copy this command again and copy it and paste it in this terminal. Just click on paste and press enter. Now it is asking for to install these tools. Just press on default. Yes, we have to install the all. Just click enter and click Y and enter. Now it is downloading and installing all the G++ tools. In total there are 58 elements he needs to install, and it will take few minutes to install all of these. So after the successful installation, in the end you will see this running post transaction hooks. You will see this kind of prompt, and now we are going to close this terminal as we have successfully installed this. And the next thing, we have to add this path in our environment variables. You have to copy this path and click on copy, and you have to again press the Windows key and just type here environment variables and go into the edit system environment variables, open it and environment variables and go into the path here. Look for the path. Here is the path. Just go in the path and you have to create just new and just paste it here and okay. Now our tool is successfully installed. We have to see is that our G++ is installed correctly. For this you have to open your CMD and run it as an administrator. Yes, and just type here G++ -- version. So if your G++ is successfully installed, you will be able to see this G++, the version is 13.2.0. Next we will write our basic program in the C++ compiler and we will see its output, and after that we will play a bit around with our basic program in order to get the practical view of everything what we have learned in the theory, and in the end we will go through all the compilation stage of the compiler that it takes to convert our C++ code into the machine code. For this we have to open our compiler. Just press the Windows key, open the CMD, run it as an administrator, just click on yes, and now we are going into our working directory which is in C, YouTube, and next we have to open our VS Code. For this you have to type code space dot. It will open the VS Code from this directory. If I press enter, it will open the VS Code for you. If you get this kind of error, the window terminated unexpectedly, you have to close it and you have to type here code space dot, and now you have to type here -no -sandbox. If you press enter, now it will open your Visual Studio Code without any issues. Next we are going to create our first C++ file. For this you have to go here and just click on here new file, and you have to write the name for your file. I'm just giving it the name basic, and next you have to write the extension for your C++ file which is .cpp. If I press enter, it will create a C++ file for you. So the first line of our basic program is #include iostream, and the next line is just simple namespace std, and the next line is our main function which is known as int main, and the round brackets and the curly brackets, and after that we have to write cout and this operator, and now we have to put commas here, and in the commas we have to create our constant string which is the robotics workshop, and now I am to place the colon sign. Colon tells the compiler that it is the end of the statement. It is the termination sign of the statement. We have to place it after each statement, and the next I will just have to return 0. We are returning 0 because our main function has the type of integer. Its return type is integer, that's why we are returning 0. 0 means that our compilation is successful. So next we are going to compile our basic program. For this you have to open your CMD and we are going to use the G++ tool to compile our program. You just have to write here G++ and then space and the name of your file which is basic.cpp. .cpp and -o and the name of your output file. I will just name it basic.exe. If I will enter, and it will generate a basic exe file here. So if I run this exe file, you will see the output here. For example, I will run this file basic.exe. As you can see, it will print the robotics workshop into the cmd. And now I will create another statement with the name of the cout, and here I will create another constant string with the name of my name Saad, and I have to place colon to tell the compiler that it is the termination of the statement. And next I have to save my file, I have to compile it again, and if I will run it again basic.exe, so it will generate the names of the robotic workshop and my name also. But it's look weird. If you want to display my name in the next line, you have to place this operator after the string here, this sign and n. Now you have to save your file again, and now you have to compile your program again. Now if you run the basic.exe, so it will move the cursor in the next line after this sequence operator, and it will display the Saad in the next line. Next we are going to play a bit with our function. As we have learned in the theory that the function always have the return type of integer. Now we are going to change its return type. I am going to change it into float. As I have told you, the compiler will throw an error because the main function has just one return type, which is integer. For example, if I will compile my program, the compiler will throw an error, main must return int. So that's why I have to change back it to again integer. And next thing, we have learned that every program must have the main function, because the compiler always look for the main function and it will execute everything that is inside the curly braces of the main function. Now we are going to change the name of the function. I will change it to, for example, from main to, I will write here robo. Now I will save my file, I will compile it again. So the compiler again will throw an error, undefined reference to main, because it is searching for the main function. So I'm going to change back it to main. And the next thing we have learned about the round brackets. If I remove the round brackets, the compiler will again throw an error. It will think that may be a global variable. So that's why we have to put this syntax, this round brackets, to tell the compiler that it is our main function. And next thing, we have learned that the compiler only execute what is inside the curly braces of the main function, and whatever is outside from the curly braces, the compiler will not execute. For example, I will create another function here. I will write here, for example, void display, and put the round brackets here and these curly brackets here. And this void means this function has no return type. Now I'm going to remove this line, and I'm going to copy this statement from here, paste it here. Now our C++ program is look like this. So if I will compile my program again, the compilation will be successful. Now I will run the exe file. The exe file will not output anything, because inside the curly braces of the main function there is no statement. For example, if I call my function from inside this main function, which is display, if I write the name of my function and this braces here, and I will put the colon here because it is the statement, I am going to save my file. Now if I compile my program again, and now if I see what's inside the basic exe, if I run it, so you will see again the output robotics workshop here, because we are calling this function inside from the curly braces of the main function. So the compiler always look for the main function, and it will execute that is inside the curly braces, and it will not execute the statements that are outside from the curly braces. So the next thing we have talked about is the using namespace std, because cout works with the std, because cout is declared under the namespace of std. And for example, if I remove this line totally and I will save my program, as you can see the compiler saying that cout has some error, and the error is identifier cout is undefined, because it is defined under the namespace of std. So if I write here std and this syntax here, that it means we are telling the compiler that we are calling the cout from the std. So instead of writing again std behind every cout, we just use it once, and we can write it once here. So the compiler will understand automatically that we are calling the std, we are calling the cout from the namespace of the std. And in order to get the more understanding of std, why it is useful, for example, if I will create one variable here, for example int, and the variable name for example is Saad. If I place the colon here, so the variable Saad with the type of integer is created. Now I will create another variable with the same name and with the same type. Now I will save my program, and if I compile my program, the compiler will again throw an error that Saad previously declared here. We cannot define the same variable with the same name again. So if I put these variables under some namespace, for example, I will write namespace here father, and I will enclose this variable under this namespace, and similarly I will copy it again and I will paste it here, and I will do this here. Now I will change the namespace here from father to son. Now if I will compile my program again, the compiler will not throw an error, because now the compiler will understand that one variable is under the namespace namespace of father, and one variable is under the namespace of son. Now these variables are two different things. Next, I'm going to remove this thing, and in the last we have talked about the hash include iostream. The hash include is the preprocessor directive, and it is just actually tells the compiler to replace this line with the contents of the file what we have called here. We are calling the iostream file, so it will replace this line with the content of the iostream file. And next we are going through the each stage of the compiler that it takes to convert the CPP file into the exe file. So the first stage is the compilation, and in the compilation the first stage is the C++ preprocessor. What is C++ preprocessor do? It will look for all the hash include statements, and it will replace this hash include statement with the content of the file. For example, we are calling the iostream file here, so it will replace this line with the content of the iostream. So to visualize this, you can open your CMD and just type here G++, and you have to type here now minus capital E, the name of your CPP file, CPP, and minus O, the name of your output file, which is basic.i. So if you press enter, it will generate a new file with the name of basic.file. If I will open this file, as you can see there here that it is the content from the iostream file. If I go down in the end of this file, you will see here it is starting from the using namespace std and the rest of our program what we have write in basic.cpp. Now this line is gone. This line is no more in this file because this line is replaced by the content of the iostream. These are the contents of the iostream. As we know that in the iostream the cout is declared under the namespace of std. That's why we have to use the std here for the cout. And the next stage in our compilation is the compiler stage. What it will do, it will take this basic.i file and it will convert this file into the assembly file. So to visualize this, you can simply write here the same command. You just have to replace the e with the minus s, and you have to also replace the extension here with the I with the s. The s extension is used for the assembly file. If I press enter, it will generate an assembly file here. If I open this file, as you can see the assembly code here, and here it is our robotics workshop, over string constant, it is converting it into ASCII. And as we can go down here, you can see this is our main function and this is our another function display. And as you can also see, it is pushing some content and it will generating the space in the stack memory, and after that it will pushing our content, and in the end it will return from the main function. So the next stage in the compilation is the assembler. It will take this assembly language and convert it into the object file. And to see this, you can open your terminal and just type here again the same command and just replace s with the minus c command, and also change here s with the o. If I press enter, so it will generate the object file. If I will go into the object file, it is saying that the file is not displayed in the text editor because it may be either binary file, because it is a machine readable code. If I open it anyway in the text editor, you will see some weird numbers, but we can also get some hints that it is converting our file. As you can see here, the content from the file, which is the robotics workshop, which is our string constant. And again, you can see also here that it is also calling the main function here. So this is the machine readable code. We humans cannot read this code, but it is going in the back end of the compiler. So after this, the next stage is the linking. In the linking, what will the compiler do? It will link this main function with the other functions of our program. For example, this is the main function and another function is display. And if I remove this function totally, and for example now I will compile my program again into the object file, the compilation will be successful because the compilation stage is only look for the syntactical errors. If there is anything wrong with the syntax, then the compilation stage will throw an error. Otherwise the compilation stage will go successful. For example, if I will compile my program with the minus c, and in order to generate the object file, it will compile successfully. But if I want to link my file, I have to remove this and I have to write here exe, and I have to remove this minus c here. If I will press enter here, it will generate an error because we have no main function. Because the linker has the problem, it is looking for the main function and it wants to link this main function with the other function here. And for example, if I will move back my main function here, now if I will compile my program again, the compilation stage will also go successful. And now if I call my linking stage, now I will replace this sign here minus c. You can also use your object file here, and in the output file you can write here exe. If I press enter, now the compilation will successful because it is able to link our main function with the display. This is the one main function of the linking, and another function is it will also link different object files. For example, if you break your program into different cpp files, I will show you. Now I will move this display function into another cpp file. I will copy this display function and this thing, everything from here. I will cut it from here and I will create a new cpp file. I will name it new.cpp. basic.cpp, and I will paste the content here. Now the display function is here. In the cpp file, it is saying that display is not declared here in the basic cpp. For this, you have to just to make it syntactically correct, you can write here void and display and the round brackets, and you have to put the colon in the end to tell the compiler that the display is declared as a function is here. Now if I compile my basic.cpp file, and for this I have to place again here this -c here and the name of my ccp file and the object file. So if I press enter, so the compilation will be successful, so it will generate a basic.o file. Similarly, we have to go into our new.cpp file, we have to write here new.cpp, and now we have to generate the object file for our new. So if I press enter, it will generate the object file for the new.cpp. Because the new.cpp is also syntactically correct, either it does not have the main function. And next we are going to link both of our object files with the linker. For this you have to type again here g++ of our first object file, which is basic.o, over the second object file is new.o. And in order to see the output in the exe file, I am just writing -o and I will write here basic.exe. If I will press enter, the compilation is successful, and if I see what is in the basic.exe, it will again printing the robotics workshop, which we have defined here in the new.cpp here. So this is how the linker will also link different object files. For example, if I will not give it one object file, now the basic.o will throw an error. That error is throwing that undefined reference to display, because we have not defined the display function here. It is defined in the new.cpp file here. So this is how the linker also links the different object files in order to generate the final exe file. So I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial, and in our next lecture I'm gonna show you about the different data types, and we will also see about the different kind of operators that we can use in C++. So see you next time. Bye.